Yo, what's good? It's your boy Lil Frank. About to do part 2 to this video. Alright, so basically I was talking about Anoa Changa. Remember the woman who does the little show on the Benjamin Dixon show. And I was kind of talking about how she was, the moment Donald Trump got in office or became the president-elect, she started bitching. Like, you should have seen for the two last videos, I want to say 2 straight days, but I don't know if it's been longer. The 2 last videos that I saw, she was just bitching. So yeah, like, she was just talking about how she's an advocate for Bernie Sanders. She's a progressive or a liberal, whatever you want to call it. And she was just slandering Trump, calling him all sorts of names. She called him an idiot. She called him a buffoon. She called him all sorts of names. Just blatantly just disrespected him, talked shit about him, all that. And yeah, like, before the election, and I'm sure she thought it was just gonna go down as a joke and he wasn't gonna win the election, but turns out he won the election, and a lot of the liberals were disappointed, including her, and she expressed that on election day. But the thing is, I don't want to really show that here. I want to kind of show a lot of the stuff she did before the election, and then get to the point where she was just bitching. Like, I don't know, I think just the contrast itself is just really funny. Like, it's just funny to see how she reacted, how she was before the election, and then the way she reacted after the election. She made a video, it was like, the Democrats are not your friends. But she also made another video, it was like, Republicans are bad, but Democrats aren't so great either. Something along those lines. See if I can find it though. I don't even know. Okay, I'm gonna put. Let's see if I can make it come quicker. But yeah, I mean. But it just goes to show you how hypocritical these liberals are. Okay, here it is.
How do you know, David? This is Bryce.
Hey, Bryce, how are you?
Doing good. So the only thing about everything that's happened that's kind of rubbed me the wrong way is how the Republicans are kind of coming out. Some have come out and kind of act like, like they're.
Okay, I'm gonna basically. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm gonna basically just skip that part because. Because to be honest with you, it's just this guy kind of droning on, and she's just kind of agreeing with him. And I guess basically what he was saying was that both candidates are bad, and because the progressives are, let's be honest, the progressives are losers. I mean, like, started this little grassroots movement, and it's barely getting off the ground. There were people who, including the Young Turks, a lot of the Young Turks people were voting for they voted for Bernie Sanders. and he lost. I mean, he didn't even make it. He didn't even make it like the first few months into the election. Like, just was annihilated by the Democrats and the Republicans. So usually that's what it comes down to. You're rarely gonna get it. I don't think there was ever a progressive president. So I'm sorry, but I guess she's trying to tackle issues like lowering taxes on the middle class and racism, things of that nature. But we can change policies within states, from state to state, on a state level, on a federal level, depending on the party that you chose. So even if Republicans are in office, we could change the police training, the rules and regulations among, police officers, lower taxes on the middle class. It's really up to the people. It's not like the 1% has most of the voting power or most of the votes. It's the people who have the votes, and most of the people are either middle class or lower class. So it's their choice, really. They voted for Donald Trump because they wanted Donald Trump president.
Want to make everything better. This is nonsense. That's like that. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. We know about the Democrat issues, but Republicans don't act like y'all is the savior. That's not me.
Because the Republicans are actually aggravating me, and not just Republicans, but some of my good Bernie liberal progressive friends. But then I realized, someone reminded me, like, not everybody who supports Bernie is a quote unquote progressive, right? Because Bernie attracted a wide range of people for a wide range of reasons, and I got to keep that in mind as well. But I saw this quote that someone posted on Twitter. It's been a long day, so I can't remember which one of you it was. But shout out, and if I can remember who it was, I'll definitely tweet you and give you a shout out. But we look at like all this movement work and stuff like that, and okay, we're talking about growing support, but is growing support the same thing as actually growing power, growing access, right? Like, I thought this was a really brilliant statement, because we have the numbers, we're growing support, but are we growing our access to power? Are we growing power, and how do we do that? And that's a conversation we need to have, because we are, whether you believe the polls that say we're a dwindling, group or not, at the same time, there is something to leverage. There is a voice. There is there is power to leverage. But are we doing it effectively? Is saying that I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton, and then later on I'm going to ask her for X, Y, and Z. Well, that's the age-old, adage right there. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? If you already gave it away, why do I have to listen to you now? I mean, like that don't even make no sense. So it's a real interesting tension, but at the same time, to get to Bryce's points, the Republicans are idiots. But you don't just have two parties. I know there's not just two parties. This, unfortunately, is the dichotomy that we have, and these, unfortunately, are people who will hold the majority of the seats in the Senate, in Congress. These are people who, between those two, who will be making decisions in terms of the next several Supreme Court appointments and things of that nature. We can't ignore it and act like this is not the nature of the system. What we do need to realize, though, is that we're in for the long haul. So if you are green and you do see that value in getting that 5%, again, get involved in state and local green activity and help grow.
So, that doesn't seem like a bad idea at all. Like, you know what I mean? If you're progressive, you know what I mean? And you're gung-ho progressive, and, I mean, you're progressive, like, that's what you believe, then, yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do. You need to gather more people so that you can vote for that candidate and help that person grow, or help that person increase their chances of winning the election and becoming a leader. However, just listen to her tone, right? Like, well, we still have hope. we can get Bernie to that 5%. Right? Listen to her tone, right? And she's speaking against Hillary. And take note of that too, right? She's like, look. Basically, the title of the video is that dreadful as Democrats are, Republicans are not the answer. That's the name of the video. So that just goes to show you that, okay, so she's a progressive. She doesn't advocate both parties. She might lean toward one party a little bit more than the other. Not necessarily, but she's not as upset with the Democrats. Okay? So you see that. Right? Not as she's like, okay, listen, it would be a disaster if the Republicans won the election. But Democrats are pretty bad too, is basically what she's saying. But you know what? It would be she's saying, look, Democrats are pretty awful. Right? So she was still kind of hopeful. Anyway, what am I doing? Okay, so there's the election coverage. I'll just go to the election update. Just listen to the way she speaks in this video.
I'm James McCarthy.
Well,
I'm a Treehouse brother. I'm Ryan McCarthy.
Just wasting my time.
My language just dropped an F-bomb. But seriously, there's work to be done, and we can't just rest on our laurels and point fingers at the Democrats because they screwed up. There's enough blame to go around. We got the receipts, but we do need to work on building out what is going to come down the pipeline, because we need to hit the ground quick, fast, clear, right? Very soon. Because all this, we're going to work together and we're all one America. We are not all one America. You made that painfully clear in so many different areas. But I will say this, last night was a win. Shout out to Pramila, Congress.
So you could just hear her tone like, oh, we're not one America. Ooh. Well, yeah, I mean, America's divided in terms of their political beliefs. And, there is a lot of racial division. There is a lot of division amongst the classes and differences of opinion. So yeah, it is true. I mean, America is divided. Let's be honest. But her tone, like, she was okay. Anyway, I'll just listen to this.
Wrong, right? And it seems like today, instead of acknowledging as a real leader would, right, what went wrong, or even taking time to address supporters in an honest and arm-length manner, we have what we have today. We have this insistence by the so woke, we are the left folks, you have to vote for her or else people who did not see any value in building and working with us earlier, the people who did not see any value in obviously doing outreach with their own people, complaining, it's Rush's fault, Susan Sarandon's fault, Nina Turner those people should have, you got black voters turning on each other, you got people blaming third-party voters. The numbers, what did you guys say last in primary? Math is math, right? The math didn't add up for her. And I understand the frustration that, she may have won the popular vote, but lost the electoral, vote in terms of electoral college. That's unfortunately the math of America, and we saw this issue happen in 2000, and none of you so woke. We've always been around. We know what we're doing. You little millennials, go sit down someplace. Y'all ain't do nothing about this. And quite honestly, the greatest guard against this situation that we're now in would have been to make sure your candidate actually carried states that her predecessor won in 2012. How do you lose Wisconsin? Milwaukee's is supposedly a Democratic stronghold. Like, how do you lose Wisconsin? How do you lose groups of white voters that Obama, despite not being, very popular at times with, white people in various sectors, you did worse? How are you white and you did worse with white people than someone named Barack Hussein Obama? I don't understand that. I do actually understand it. I shouldn't say that. It's called poor outreach. It's called hubris. It's called entitlement. Just because you're a woman, well, I'm a woman, and that's the most outsider thing there is. You're an elitist white corporatist married to a former president. You're out of touch with the people. The people who followed you are out of touch with the people, because clearly you couldn't even get your people to vote for you. Like, seriously. We want to lay the blame at somebody's feet today. We lay the blame at the DNC. We lay the blame at the Democratic Party as a whole. We lay the blame at Democratic operatives, these mainstream media pundits, surrogates, Hillary Clinton. We lay the blame at Bill Clinton's feet for encouraging Donald Trump for being his friend, right? Enabling him. We lay the blame at people like Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo, who are now on Twitter talking about, oh, well, in the sake of unity, we'll all work together. You done spent all these months trying to convince us that he's this evil, hateful racist, the second coming of Hitler. You want us all to now peacefully work together? What the hell y'all smoking? Nah, we not.
So, you can see that she clearly contradicts herself. I mean, if you've watched the videos that I've showed you previously and paid attention to what she was saying, and then you've watched this video and you see her tone change, and you see the very things she says change. Like, she was a stone cold progressive. That's what she was. She was a progressive. Her beliefs were progressive at first, right? And it's bizarre because now she seemed like, it's like, okay, well, why didn't you? She's saying, well, why didn't you guys vote for Hillary? Right? And she wasn't saying that before. I thought you were just stone cold progressive, so you wouldn't really care. I guess, if you were really a progressive, you would move on to a different issue. You wouldn't be bitching about how Donald Trump won the election and that it's the white vote's fault, the black vote's fault, Mayor de Blasio's fault, this person's fault, that person's fault, that she lost the election. Because suddenly you're a Hillary supporter because Donald Trump won the election, or Donald Trump won the election, and that was the outcome. So now you're going to pivot and change your entire view because of the outcome of the election? So you see the irony in that.
Ready to make nice. There will be no breaking bread. Like, I'm so sorry. You have ruined all credibility. Al Franken. I mean, the list goes on. Elizabeth Warren. There's so many of you that are so tainted by this whole process. But I do say to the new so woke left, the rising, moral authority in America, watch your step, right? Because, hubris is a downfall. That is the one lesson I think we get out of, this side of the election cycle, is that hubris is a downfall. And hubris is what Secretary Clinton now, not sexism. I'm not going to say that sexism doesn't exist. I absolutely believe there is sexism out there. There are people, we've talked to people who would not support her because she was a woman. But at the same time, making this all about her being a woman as if she was some symbol for advancement for womanhood was a fatal flaw and error. She overreached, she overstepped, and it was peak white feminism. Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer and Amanda Arquette and the rest of them are just little miniature younger versions of a peak white feminist. And it's a problem. And white feminists did not show up at the polls. And don't say, not all, I'm a white woman and I'm a feminist. No, it's a very particular phrase. Look it up. It's a very particular mindset. Look it up.
And this whole feminist thing, I mean, this whole feminist argument, I mean, well, okay, well, she was a woman, of course, and, you know, Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama came out and said, oh, you know, the comments that Donald Trump made against the comments that Donald Trump made against women or towards women, and the things that he did to women or he said on the Access Hollywood tapes were disgusting, which were wrong, of course. They were horrible comments. I mean, no woman wants to be sexually harassed or sexually assaulted in that way. Don't get me wrong. But that doesn't make her this sort of advocate for, you know, protecting womanhood. You know, she was just simply addressing Donald Trump's comments as wrong, right? And, well, as Donald Trump said, that it was locker room talk. It was locker room talk. You know what I mean? It was a bunch of guys getting together and they were talking about women. They were discussing women, right? In a personal sort of situation. So it has nothing to do with his presidency. It has nothing to do with him winning the election or not winning the or you know, being the president. It was just a personal discussion, and it should have nothing to do with him being a politician. And then they talked about the rape allegations or the sexual assault allegations. 11 women came forward saying that Donald Trump assaulted them, and some said that they raped them. So whether or not that's true, that's irrelevant. So Hillary Clinton addressed that and said, and she made it a part of the third debate. She made it a part of her speeches, and that if you vote for Hillary Clinton, not only you have a woman as president, but you have someone that's not sexist. You have someone who's going to fight for women's rights. That doesn't make her an advocate for womanhood or protecting womanhood or this feminist sort of candidate. It doesn't make her that. It just makes her a woman who believes in women's rights and has strong opinions on women's rights. That's all that is.
But you know, while everyone's mourning, and again, we've been talking about this. Like, I got receipts, Ben got receipts, Project Sanity got receipts, we got receipts, Yvette Carnell got receipts, Tim Black got receipts, we all got receipts, right? And I take no pleasure. I don't know about you guys. I take no pleasure in being right. None whatsoever. I actually, when my son came in from playing outside, I actually broke down and cried a little bit. Because for a fleeting moment, I thought, did I make a mistake for not, working myself to the bone? But then I realized, nope, I did not. What I can do, what I will continue to do, what I've done for almost a year and a half now, is continue to use my energy, lift up my voice, lift up your voices, and work for a better tomorrow. And that's one of the things that Marcus and I are going to talk about when he comes on in a little bit. But I was interviewed on this show on the CBC earlier today, and I they was asked about how did I feel, was I scared, was I worried? I am no more worried about my children walking out the door today than I was yesterday, than I was last year, than I will be next year. Seriously, like when Tamir Rice was murdered, I wept. I wept because my son is an oversized, black man child. Looks older for his age, but he's the sweetest kid ever. I wept. When the cops were not going to be charged, I wept again. Like that's what I live with as a black mother. So Hillary Clinton wasn't going to change that because her rhetoric was so problematic. Like, let's just be real. Now, on the flip side, Donald Trump is a hot.
Now, I know at this point, a lot of you are probably asking, okay, well, why are you criticizing this woman? Well, if you're opinionated, you're going to be held accountable for everything that you say. And in countries, well, I live in Canada, right? So in countries within the American continent, we have something called freedom of speech. So if we disagree with someone, we can say that we disagree with someone. And we have every right to express whatever opinion that we have, as long as it's not against an opinion that advocates that you're going to commit an illegal act. Then you're allowed to say it. Now, this notion that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, that attracts white supremacists, which a lot of people did say it's true. I mean, when you go to his rallies, he did attract a lot of white supremacist sort of people. He did attract a lot of, racists and KKK members to his rallies. Don't get me wrong. And I think this had a lot to do with Donald Trump being a rich, white, successful businessman, and the fact that he's so outspoken. And that's it. It has nothing to do with anything that Donald Trump believes. Donald Trump is not a racist. I know that. He works with black people, his black friends. He has black people on his show. He has black people who advocate him, who work for him. He has a lot of relationships with black people. So Donald Trump is not a racist. It's the people who go to his rallies that are racist. But they make that mistake of thinking that he himself is racist because of the people that go to his rallies. And that's gonna, he might tighten police privileges and police laws and things like that, and police brutality and police killings and murders of unarmed black men or unarmed or even armed black people is going to rise, is going to increase under Trump's presidency. But you don't know if that, I'm not saying whether it's true or not, but you can't just assume it's true. You can't say he's a racist, because he's not a racist, so it doesn't add up.
Fucking mess. Excuse my language, just dropped an F-bomb. But seriously, there's work to be done, and we can't just rest on our laurels and point fingers at the Democrats because they screwed up. There's enough blame to go around. We got the receipts, but we do need to work on building out what is going to come down the pipeline, because we need to hit the ground quick, fast, clear, right? Very soon.
Okay, so that's just her, her progressive talk. But we want to get to the juice of the video.
To actually care about people voting, that would have been a major issue going into this election cycle. If people actually cared about people voting, you would have had a better plan and better conversation than skipping Wisconsin altogether. How the hell do you skip Wisconsin? How do you not even how do you not campaign there? How is your big moment in Ohio when people are struggling with jobs, right? How's your big thing in Ohio a Beyonce and Jay-Z concert? What the hell was you thinking?
It's funny because you saw the video. She said that Democrats were dreadful. And she said that Hillary was dreadful. But now, because of the outcome of the election, again, she's like, oh, well, how could Hillary lose? You know what I mean? How could you skip Wisconsin? How can you skip Ohio? So you could tell that she's like a Hillary advocate. It's like, why don't you just vote for Hillary then? Why didn't you vote for Hillary? You voted for Bernie Sanders, and now you're blaming everyone else around you because Hillary didn't win the election. And that's why you're upset, because the result was not, you didn't wake up and realize that Hillary was not the president. Or was the president. She wasn't. And now you're upset. Because you knew you wanted Bernie Sanders, to begin with, right? And you said that Democrats are dreadful. You said no matter what the outcome is, it's still going to be a terrible outcome. But now suddenly you're a Hillary supporter? Wow, so way to stick to your progressive guns. My bad.
Black women to the White House. Well, to quote Professor Stacey Patton, there is no more electoral mammy happening up in here. Miss N, I'm sorry. Yo, please don't run for nothing ever. You let Madeleine Albright and Gloria Steinem and all the rest of them geek your head up, but boo-boo. You couldn't even get your Goldwater friends to come vote for you. And let's be real, let's be clear. You ain't no better than Donald Trump. I mean, even early yesterday, Hillary Clinton was in an interview, was quoted as saying, you know, she really wants America to come together and she hopes her and Donald can be friendly. This is supposedly someone who's a raging rapist and homophobe, and he's so racist and he's so all these different things. And you want to be friends with him?
Well, here's the difference. He's the president. That's why. She has no choice but to say that. Even Barack Obama was talking bad about him and saying that what was he saying? Barack Obama was saying that it would ruin my legacy if he became president, because he would repeal Obamacare, and which was my legacy. You know, I created this healthcare act that was apparently affordable, and that he's not qualified to be president, which he's completely, you know, he's completely in the right to say. He can say, he has every right to say that, right? But of course, because Donald Trump is president, they had to have a discussion. They had to meet up and make the transition. The former president and president-elect, they have to meet up. They have to come to some sort of agreement. So of course, he's going to say, okay, well, we're going to work with Trump, right? That's the only thing he can do. So Obama's okay in that situation. You know what I mean? You can't really blame Obama. You can't go after Obama for that. Hillary Clinton, same story. You know, she had to make the speech about how she's gonna she thinks that Donald Trump is gonna make a great president, and we're gonna try to work with him, and woo, and it's his choice. He's the leader of the free world. You know, he's the most powerful man in the world. He can make that decision. It's his choice. At the end of the day, it's his choice. So he can make that decision whether or not he wants to work with these people. Because he said that, you know, that Obama was underqualified. He said that Hillary was corrupt, and he said that Bernie Sanders is an asshole. So why would he work with these people? But you know what? I did see Trump kind of backpedal a little bit, which I'll talk about in another video. Maybe, I don't know. But he did say that he's going to take out parts of Obamacare. So I guess maybe in the discussion, they kind of came to a bit of an agreement and found a middle ground, which honestly, I think Trump should have stuck to his guns, because he was so confident in the beginning. I saw his confidence. I saw what he was so strong in what he believed in, and you know what I mean? He spoke his mind, and I feel like he could have at least lied in the discussion and said, look, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. I don't care what Obama says. It is what it is. I said what I said, and I'm sticking to it. And he would have been a bigger man because of that. Right? But instead, he decided to, you know, kind of cave a little bit and turn to Obama's side, which was, to me, was a little bit weak on his part. But I mean, for this woman to say, oh, it's this person's fault and that person's fault that Hillary didn't win, I mean, she's wrong for saying that. Absolutely wrong.
I'm so sorry. I don't even understand that logic. So it's one of two things. Either he's really not that bad. I mean, definitely Pence is freaking atrocious. Or she's a lot worse than people want to admit. And that's true. There's tons of people freaking out all over the place right now and blaming everybody under the sun except for really taking stock. Peter Dowd, you know, I'm sure it's a padded cell for him someplace. Yeah. So there is when you look at the demographics too, when it breaks down, right? She did not do well with white voters of most age group, of I think almost every age group. And she didn't do well with voters. She did okay, but he did better with voters over, $50,000. She got lower income voters, more so than he did. And I also wonder if that was maybe also a reflection of the disparity that we've been seeing in income and wealth between the races here in the country too, But the way the demographics just split down. I mean, Donald Trump, they have fed you this BS story about how Donald Trump's supporters are just angry, poor white people who hate black people and who hate immigrants. And a lot of folks just hated the Clintons. I understand we don't like to think about race that way, but seriously, we have a very dangerous game that was played. Now I'm talking to the so woke left, talking to black enablers, black political elite. Y'all played this game, played a very dangerous game. You painted Bernie as a racist. You made this all about sexism and how somehow she was going to be better for black people. We're only 13% of the population. How the hell do you hang, something, Latinos are another 13%? How do you hang the fate of your election, of your campaign on us? We're not even half the damn population. How the hell does that even make any sense? It doesn't. It's really bad strategy. It's hubris. It's arrogance. She just assumed. She just assumed that all the little white girls out there would see her and be like, yeah, slay queen. And what does it say that black women give away their vote, their time, their energy, their essence overwhelmingly, and for what? What were you really getting in return? I know Ben and I had a conversation, might have been myself, Ben, and Nick had a conversation some months back. Remember the president of the Urban League actually did a interview, and he was talking about, well, at least with Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, there was they knew that they would get some appointments. What the hell is an appointment to the single parent struggling on less than a living wage to feed and take care of their family? The hell is a political appointment going to do? We done had political appointments under George Bush and Barack Obama. What has that done for us? If you a white worker in the Rust Belt, what the hell are political appointments going to do for you? Not a damn thing. You're not talking about nothing. If it ain't making dollars, it ain't making sense. So we got a lot of work ahead. There's a really great quote in a piece, Glenn Greenwald.
Okay, before I get to that, this notion that Donald Trump is gonna lower taxes on the rich, and which is true, is he's probably going to lower the taxes on the rich. I mean, let's be honest, a 15% tax is what he proposed, and that lower and middle class workers are going to have a hard time under Trump. You got to realize that he said that he was going to create jobs, and he said he was going to improve the infrastructure, and he said that he was going to end wars and fight ISIS, right? You got to create jobs. That creates jobs. When those decisions alone create jobs. I'm sorry, I dropped my phone. Okay, I got it. Anyway, as I was saying, those policies alone create jobs. To fix infrastructure, you need to create jobs. You need a military that creates jobs. And he said he was going to create more. He said he's going to build a wall in Mexico. I don't know if that's still going down, but they said something about building a fence that is taller or thicker or something along those lines. That creates jobs. So middle and lower class Americans are going to benefit. That's the idea. He said he was going to create jobs. He said it in his speeches at his rallies, that he was going to create jobs. So the middle and lower class are going to benefit, right? What did Hillary say that we're gonna help the lower class and the middle class. If you work in America, you succeed in America. I mean, that's just basically it, right? Disability benefits are for those who need help, and that's it. But when it comes to work, I mean, you work more, you make more. There is oppression, and there is, you know, certain systems that keep people in certain positions, but everyone needs to play their role. I mean, that's just the way the system works. Everyone needs to play their role in society. Like, everyone needs to, you know, there needs to be the people sweeping the streets. There needs to be the people working in the fast food restaurants. There need to be the doctors, the lawyers, you know, the teachers, the firefighters, the police, ambulance, paramedics, whatever. There has to be different roles in society. And Donald Trump said he was going to increase that.
The piece, Democrats, Trump, and the ongoing dangerous refusal to learn the lesson of Brexit. And there was a really good quote that someone shared with me earlier, if I can find it. but one of the things, you know, that he talks about is the fact that people and these self-proclaimed experts relying on all this polling data. Now, we already know coming out of the primary how they manipulated, massaged, absolutely just played with the polling data, right, to make it fit a narrative. They made the polling data fit the narrative they wanted, right? So there's been a very, very dangerous story being told. Trump was neck and neck, and they ignored it, they laughed it off, didn't really give it any credence, didn't really try to overcome. And we've been saying fear does not work. And I'm gonna say to everybody right now, going forward, fear is not going to work. I understand there may be fear, I understand there may be anxiety, but that gets in the way of getting the work done. And I know usually, I'm really hyped up and stuff like that, but I'm damn tired. I've been up for over 36 hours, you know, knee deep in all of this. But I'm really excited. Like I said, Marcus Farrell's going to come in, and we're going to talk to you about something that we've started working on. That's the next step.
Here we go.
You know,
Here we go.
Everybody's like, oh my God, everybody has something. But this is something that's really looking at how to make use, how to engage, how to transform our grassroots efforts into something that's long-term, sustainable, ongoing, for really engaging people and not just, you know, turning people out to vote for the presidential election cycle. And that was the problem. You know, they had crappy get out the vote. This is the problem when you suppress, and they suppress so heavily. You know, Stacey Hopkins, my mentor, always talks about this. You suppress people, they suppress in the primary and they get out in the general. The problem was they suppressed so heavily, they were so overhanded with the way they did things, it was very difficult to get people out in general. Because when you have people that are just so disgusted, this is like you had two of the worst candidates ever. The people were so disgusted, nearly half of eligible voters stayed home. America's so great. Half the damn people don't vote. What the hell is that all about? Like,
well, there's different reasons that people don't vote. It's not, I'm sure there's a great percentage of people who didn't vote because they didn't like the two candidates. You know, there's some people who don't vote because they just don't vote in general. They don't like politicians in general. There's people who don't vote because they just don't care. There's different reasons why people don't vote. So you can't just assume that, okay, the politicians were so bad, the two choices were so bad that no one wanted to vote. You know, because that's not the only reason. So you can't just say that. But I mean, I don't know. All I gotta say, really, the point of this video is just stop bitching. Like, come on, yo. I mean, give Trump a chance. You know what I mean? Give Trump a chance, because You heard you heard what he was saying in his speeches. If you actually listen to his speeches and listen to what he had to say, maybe you'd be like, oh, this guy isn't so bad. You know? Maybe you would think that. So, I mean, okay, anyway, I'm gonna cut this video short because it's cold as hell outside, and this isn't really the best filming condition, you know what I mean? But I got a lot of my points out, and I'll probably upload this on my second channel because I want to get more attention to my first channel on a certain video. It's a lot shorter and to the point, and I make a lot of good points in that video. But I will be commenting more on Anoa, or what's her name, Anoa Changa's commentary. I do like her a lot. I think she's very intelligent. You know, she graduated law school, which is respectable, and she's very, very passionate about politics, which I respect and love. However, we don't see eye to eye on every issue, so I decided to kind of just address certain things. And her reaction to the election, I thought it was a little bit redundant, and that's all. But yeah, Lil Frank signing off.